If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.
Hi, welcome to Autocorrelation in JMeter Part 2. Before you see this video, I suggest you to watch the previous video about the autocorrelation in JMeter. The link is in the description. Please watch that and then you can come back to this video. Just to give a quick overview about the context of this particular Part 2, we are going to identify the correlation and we are going to replace it using the correlation recorder plugin from JMeter. A couple of months ago, JMeter has released the new plugin called correlation recorder, which is available in the jmeterplugins.org, and then you can also install it from the plugins manager. A couple weeks ago, they have released the newer version, which is 1.1, by fixing the bugs in the 1.0 version and enhancing it further. We are going to see how it will be very useful for you to autocorrelate your test plan. Just to begin, the objective here is to autocorrelate using the plugin, and to demonstrate, as mentioned in the last video, we are going to use the petstore.octoperf.com. So this is one of the sample pet store which will be used frequently by the testers to learn the concepts. So here we are going to launch the pet store and we are going to log in and we are going to click the products, fish or dogs or reptiles and so on, and then we are going to sign out. So this is the whole flow, and let us begin the recording. And before we start recording, we have to understand the where we are going to correlate and which value we are going to replace. So to identify that, we are going to use the network tools in Firefox, and we will have to capture the dynamic values, and then we are going to formulate the regex so that it will get replaced during the recording. So I'm going to close this and let me open it in incognito mode, and let us bring the network tools and let us launch the first URL, petstore.octoperf.com. So this is just a typical landing page, and if you see the response payload, we don't get any kind of dynamic session IDs or token anything in this page. So let us proceed with the subsequent request. So let us click on the enter the store, but before that let us clear the screen and click on the enter the store, and let us go through the request and the response headers. So here if you see the request headers, we have a typical request headers, host and accept encoding, connection, everything. And the response headers, again we have a typical cookies and default headers. And if you expand the general overview, we can see the host and the file name and the version, etc. And in the response also, here if you go to response payload, here you can see there is a J session ID which is getting generated in the response. So this is one of the area we have to focus. So what we can do is let us copy this and paste it in the notepad. So this is one, and let us clear this trace and let us click on the sign in link here, and here I'm going to log in. So before we click on login, again let us see the header information here. So header information, as you see, we are sending the J session ID along with the other parameters, and you can see the response payload again. So there will be some source page here, you can see, and value here again, source page, some value, some junk value. So let us forget about the source page and other stuff. So let us focus on J session ID just to demonstrate the features of the plugin. And let us click on the login. So before that, let us clear this and click on login and go to the first request, post data, and go to headers. So again here it is redirecting to some other page. This is the catalog.action, and you can see the referrer, so on. So you got the whole idea, right? So we are getting some unique ID from the server called JSession ID. So that is where we have to correlate basically, and our login functionality will work fine whenever we re-execute our test plan. So this is the whole idea, and let us click on sign out. And now let us begin some initial recording. Then we can formulate the correlation rules. So here, before I start recording, I'm going to change my proxy to 8989, and I'm going to click on OK, and I'm going to close the browser. So all the instances of the browser has been closed, and let us add a thread group here. And inside the thread group, I'm going to, inside the test plan, I'm going to add a JMeter correlation recorder plugin, element, and we are going to create certain rules in the correlation rules tab. So this is where we are going to work. When compared to 1.0 and 1.1, there are a lot of stuff has been changed in this plugin. We are going to see it in a moment. So just before that, let us add some filtering basically. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some filtering so that it will just record only the petstore.octoperf.com. So this is the pattern I'm going to include while recording, so that it will ignore all of other junk requests. So let us start. Let us begin recording. So before that, let me click on this suggested excludes, and let us hit start. So we have to select the thread group here in the test plan creation and hit start. Click on OK and launch Firefox. And go to petstore.octoperf.com, and then click on enter the store. So I'm not creating any transactions as such. I'm just clicking on the links. Okay, I have to change the port number here, 8989. Stop, and let us start recording again. And hit the Firefox and go to petstore.octoperf.com. So this time it should record it properly. And let us click on the enter the store. Okay, now let us click on sign in and log in. And I'm clicking on fish, and then I'm clicking on sign out. And let us stop the recording. So now if you expand, you could see there are a couple requests has been recorded. And if you see the first request, we are going to hit the catalog, and there is a session ID. Even if you go to header manager, there is a session ID here, as you see. And we are going to launch some fish. We are going to click on the fish category, and we are going to sign off. So this is the whole flow got recorded. And so here the objective is to capture this session ID and replace it on the fly. So that is our objective. Similarly, it should replace it in the header manager as well. So that is also important. So we are going to identify the JSession ID, and then we are going to replace it in the referrer, and we are going to replace it in the request. So that is our objective. So for that, let us build some rules, so that after building the rule, you have to record it again, then you have to validate. So before you creating rules, you have to record it to understand the context, then you can start building the rules. So that is how it works. So let us create a new rule by clicking on this add button. So this will fill up some default values across multiple sections. So here the section has been divided into three. One is the reference variable, and correlation extractor, and the correlation replacement. So this is how it works. So first is you have to give a name to the to your rule. Basically it's a variable name, it can be anything. Let us give some name C underscore J session ID. So this is my variable name. And here in the correlation extractor, we have to mention the regex pattern where you want to extract basically. So this is the actual regex you will write whenever you use the regex extractor. So this is the one, it's very critical. And then you have to mention the match number. So if you delete it, it will give you the placeholder text. So this is the match number, and this is the group number, and this is the field to check basically. So this is the body, and if it is a multi-valued, you have to check this box. So we can see another demo about the multi-valued stuff. And then you have to mention the replacement. So where you want to replace, again we have to write certain regex pattern here. So here as you see, if you don't want to replace, you can give a none, but if you do want to replace automatically, you need it, by the way. So you have to write the regex for that as well. So here you have to write the the replacement regex and the replacement string, or if you want to ignore, you can just check the ignore value. So this is the new thing they've added, and also you can notice there is a checkbox here. If you keep adding new rules, you can see you will get a checkbox to enable or disable the rule. So instead of deleting it, what you can do is you can enable or disable the particular rule. So let us delete the other three rules, and let us create a let us form the regex for the JSSN ID. So here, as you know, we have to write the regex based on the server response. So where is the server response for the JSON ID? So that comes in the very first request. So to capture that, what we can do, we can run it just once, and let us capture that. So what I have done is I have added the view results tree, and let us click on run. Before that, let us hit save. So I can give correlation demo, and we need only the first request, and let us click on the first request. Here you can see catalog action and the response data. So response data, here you can see the JSON ID, and we are going to write some regex. So what we can do, just copy the whole the JSON ID is equal to, and paste it in the search, and check this box regex, and delete the dynamic string and write these regex dot plus question mark. So dot any character plus one or more occurrence, question mark optional, and if you hit find, it will match the whole string basically. So which means our regex is working fine. So you can copy this string and go to the correlation recorder and paste it here. And as you know, we have to extract the first occurrence. So for the first occurrence, let us leave the value here 1, and the group number also 1, because we have only one capturing group here, 1, and we are going to use the body. So we are going to select the body, and that's it. So this is the part you have to configure for the correlation extractor. So this is pretty easy, but when it comes to correlation replacement, so you have to do some groundwork here. So where you want to replace. So to replace, you have to go through your test plan. So this is where you are going to extract the JSON ID, and in the subsequent request, you have to go through and identify the regex for that. Then you have to replace it. So let us go one by one. So let us go to the second request. So in the second request, we are going to replace it here. So what is the regex for this? So to write the regex for this, again, we can make use of the view results tree and go to the second request and go to the request tab. And here you have to write the JSession ID. So JSession ID is equal to open parenthesis dot plus and question mark, close parenthesis, and again question mark, and check this box and click on find, which will not highlight because we have this question mark. It is a special character, so we have to use the you have to escape that character. So just enter the backward slash for the second question mark. So this is our regex. This is the actual character appears in the URL. So let us click on this find now. So now it is identifying the whole pattern, whole string, which means our regex is working fine. So now you can copy this particular regex and go to the correlation replacement and paste it in the regex replacement text box. And then we have to replace it with what? So we have to replace it with this variable, but you cannot just copy because we have to make use of that variable. So to make use of that, we have to use the common syntax $ curly braces, paste the value and close curly braces. Okay. So now we have done with one correlation rule. So we have extracted it using this particular regex, and we are going to make use of this regex to replace the value with this particular variable name. Okay, now let us head back to the second request here. And if you click on the header manager, again, we don't have any JSession ID here, so no need to replace it. But if you go to the third request, again, here we don't have the JSession ID. But if you click on the header manager, here we have another JSession ID, which is different than the previous one, I guess. So let us confirm. So here you can see JSession ID is equal to and the some unique string and question mark and sign on form. So this one, I think it will match here. So basically this will work here also. And if you go to the second one, fourth one, header manager, again there is a session ID. So ideally it should replace. We have to see it. And if you go again here, we don't have header manager, we don't have. So I think we are good with one rule. But to validate whether this rule is working fine or not, we have to record it again. So to record it again, what we can do, let us disable this and let us name this recorded. And let us create a new thread group. Let us say validation. We're going to validate. And in the correlation recorder, let us select the target controller to thread group validation. And let it be even here, -recorded -validation, and hit save and close your browser and hit on start. And launch your browser and go to pet store. So basically you have to repeat the exact flow. So do not deviate from the previous recorded steps. That will mess up your test plan. So you have to follow the exact test data, exact flow, exact thing. So let us click on the sign on, sign in, use the J2EE login credentials, and let us click on fish and let us hit on sign out and close the browser and stop the recording and expand the each request. Voila. So here in the first request, as per the rule we have defined here, it extracted the JSession ID successfully and it has used the variable, our regex, our template, our match number and the default value. using the field to check body and main sample. But now let us validate whether it has replaced it or not. So let us click on the second request, and if you see JSON ID, no, it is not replaced. But if you see the header manager for the third request, and let us click on the header manager, it has replaced it successfully. But why it has not replaced this particular value? Because our regex is not matched, so that is why it is not replaced. So we have to make sure exactly it should match. So you should not consider this sign-on form. You should consider only this part actually. So to identify this part, we have to create another rule and we have to replace it. So let us do that again. So what we can do, let us add another rule, and here we can say JSON ID underscore say body, and again make use of the same regex because this one is valid for us. Only this varies. So this one, it is not slash question mark because this particular where is it? So this one doesn't have any question mark here. So we have to use the exact one here. So to make use of that, what we can do, let us delete the question mark. So dot plus, so which will match the complete line, end of the line basically. Or you can use dollar symbol as well. But let us go with dot plus, and let us replace it with this variable dollar question mark and the variable name and the close curly braces. So now let us delete everything because we don't need this, and let us record again, and let us make sure whether this time it is replacing it or not in the sampler. So hit save, start, click on start and launch your Firefox and go to pet store. Just repeat the same again, the exact steps, exact test data, enter the store, click on sign in and use the credentials J2EE and click on fish and sign out and stop recording, close the browser and go to your validation. So request 1, yes, it is working fine, extraction is working fine, but what about the replacement? Yes, now this time it is working fine. So this time it has replaced successfully. Okay, but we have to validate, right? So how do we validate unless we run? So let us run and hit run button here, and first request, yes, successful, and second request, yes, it replaces successfully in the runtime as well, and in the header also you can see it has replaced it. And you can also use the debug sampler. So let us use the debug sampler so that you can see the success replacement and extraction. So here you can see the JSON ID and JSON body. So everything is working fine. So this is how you can make use of the correlation plugin so that it will make your life easy. But only thing is you have to put some initial effort to identify the rules basically, and then you can make use of it. But that is one-time activity per se for each release. Unless something is changing, then the rules stays the same, and you can share it with your teammates so that they can also make use of it. I'm going to create a couple of other tutorials, how to create a template, how to convert, how to do some manipulation. So we are going to see it eventually, but this is the whole idea. So this is how it works basically. And let us do another rule. So what we can do is let us extract the category ID. So category ID is equal to fish, right? So let us extract it. So what is the category ID? When you launch when you click on the link, say fish, but I want to extract it. So for this request basically, so 345, right? So this category ID, I want to extract it. So let us extract this. So to extract it, again we have to identify in which page it is getting extracted. So for that, let us use this particular request 343, and here let us search for category ID. So here you can see the quick links. JSON ID is equal to fish. So let us copy this and let us write some regex pattern here. Identify. So the occurrence is 1. So this is the first occurrence. So copy this, and in the correlation, let us add another one by clicking on this add button, and we can say C underscore category, and this is my regex. Occurrence is 1, group is 1, body, and I want to replace. So I want to replace it in 345. Again, category ID is equal to fish. So for this, we have to write one more regex. So category ID is equal to fish, right? So we have to replace it with this dot plus. So this is my replacement regex. So just copy this and paste it here, and dollar symbol. The value is this particular variable name, and paste it here. Voila, that's it. So now again we have to record it. No other way we can validate, so we have to record it again. So let us cut this, we don't need, and clear this off, and go to your correlation recorder and hit start, and go to your Firefox. Again repeat the same steps, petstore.octoperf.com, and repeat the same steps again. Enter the store, click on sign in, log in with the J2EE, click on fish. So this is where we are going to log in now by using the credentials J2EE, and I'm going to click on fish, and I'm going to click on sign out. I'm going to close, stop, and expand all the requests. So this is where it is extracting the category ID, because the category ID is coming in the first request itself. So let us go to the second one here. So it is working fine, and header manager, this is fine, and this request also fine. Session ID is fine. Let us click on 394. Yes, see, now you can see the category ID is equal to C underscore category, which got replaced it successfully. So our all three correlation rule is working fine. But before that, let us quickly validate by adding the view results tree. And sorry, it's here already. So let us move this visually. Okay, now let us hit run, and debug sampler response data. You can see the category fish, and JSON ID and JSON ID body also got extracted successfully. So this is how you make use of your correlation recorder for autocorrelation in JMeter. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, or you can post your questions in community.qainsights.com. And also you can touch base with me in LinkedIn. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.
If you like my dad's videos, please subscribe to QA Insights channel.